So what we're going to train on today is a little bit of location training and a little bit of the specificities, the specifics of what goes in each location specifically. We're going to talk about the first section of the door rack, as it has come to me. One of the many problems that we have had over the years is locations, accuracy in locations, identifying locations, understanding locations, knowing what goes where. This is exactly what I want to touch on right now. So if you look there in your hand, you get the door racks map. It looks basically, it's a lot cleaner than what I'm about to draw, but it's broken up into A1, A2, A3, and A4. Okay. I also want to get into the specifics of what is going here in this section. So what we've got is our suspension section here, and it starts with knuckles down on the bottom. And then it's also divided left-hand side, right-hand side. So that's as you're looking at it. So everything over here on the knuckles is going to be a left. Everything over here is going to be a right. That's on the ground. That's ground level right there. This also includes anything heavy that doesn't work well up here. So some of the F350 dually hubs are heavy. They're going to be on the ground. They're not going to hang real well up in the hubs. Next up here we've got spindles. These are all rights. These are all lefts. A1 and A2. So when you're standing there staring at the door rack, or staring at these locations, the left-hand stuff is on the left-hand side, the right-hand stuff is on the right-hand side. Does that make sense? Any questions so far? Okay. Above the spindles, we're hanging stuff that hangs easily. We've gone through this. We found some things that hang easily and some things that don't hang so easy. Hubs hang easily. So this is A level, this is B level, this is C level now. Hubs hang easily, struts hang easily. Now, when it comes to hubs and struts, they are typically universal, left and right. 99% of the time, a left hub and a right hub are the same. Doesn't matter whether it's a left or right. So hubs are going to hang across the board. Doesn't matter left or right. Struts the same way. Doesn't matter. The struts are going to be mixed in here, lefts and rights. The hubs are going to be mixed in left and right. Typically, you don't have to choose whether a hub or a strut is left or right. They're almost always the same. I will say 99% because I'm sure there's some struts out there that have a little bracket on the left that's different than the little bracket on the right. And there's probably a hub out there that has something similar. So 99% of the time you'll find they're the same. But regardless, this is left or right. Up top we have running board pairs. A1 and A2 and A3 is pairs of running boards. That's a left and a right together. Now sometimes we get vehicles hit in one side and they have one good running board. So this is where a single goes, over here. This is also where a rocker molding goes, left or right. Either way, left or right. Any questions? All makes sense? Probably review, however, I expect you to know and understand this. So now I'm going to do a little drawing here of what a knuckle looks like when it comes in. You got your upper control arm, you got your lower control arm, you got your spindle, you got your hub, you got a brake rotor a lot of times. You notice that we don't have brake rotor up here. There is a 3-digit code for a front brake rotor. If you look over here, it's not on here. Front brake rotor equals blue bin. So once it gets broken down, it just goes to the blue bin. It's not a part that gets inventoried. There are some exceptions where there are some vehicles where they sell because they have high value. If they don't sell by the time they come off the vehicle, they go to the blue bin. We don't track them. Mostly because they're available very inexpensively brand new. We also have a caliper that you don't see up here. Caliper has value. Caliper, if you look over here, a caliper gets tagged and it goes to a location. It's an A part, okay? It doesn't go out here. There are bins out there with calipers in them. If they don't have a location, they need a location, Joseph. I think they have one, but I'm not certain. If they don't have one, they need a location. Typically, these hold about 25 calipers each. When all 4 bins get filled, someone buys them all. I sell them all as cores and they're gone and we start over. Typically how calipers go. So, what I don't want you to assume is that if you have something out there that looks like a hub with a rotor on it and a caliper, don't assume there's a spindle there. Don't assume. This will get you in trouble. Because that might look just like that without the spindle. Spindle sold. Okay? Very possible. Don't assume there's a spindle there. If you have this complete assembly, Joseph, where would you say this would belong?
Hanging on the hub section, if it's light enough.
With the caliper and the rotor on it?
Well, yeah, I would.
Okay. Anthony, what's your feedback on that? Do you feel like that should hang up in the hub section?
Probably just break it down. It's 2 bolts. Get the caliper off. Hub, it's going to be separate already, so move in the rotor and put
hang the hub.
Yeah, hang the hub. Put the caliper inside the bin. The location for our calipers.
Okay, I'm agreeable with that. And if you don't have time to break it down, I believe it belongs on the floor. If you don't have time to break it down, that's where it's going to belong, A level. So anything that's sort of a complete assembly like that, without a spindle, if you don't have time to break it down, it's going to go on the ground. And this would get inventoried like this. This is 2 parts. 2 parts, hub caliper, and then it would go on the ground. It would go in a A1A location. Any questions on that? You'll notice.
So like if it's a complete spindle hub caliper like that, it's supposed to have all 3 tags, all 4 tags on it in that location?
If it's complete like this, man, that's a great question. If it's complete like this right here, I would say this is going to have an upper control arm, a lower control arm, a caliper, and a spindle, and a hub. it's going to be on an A section. That's what I see right there. Now, as soon as it comes apart, those upper and lower control arms are going in the bin. Rotor's going in the bin. But while it's complete, it's still in inventory. So as long as it's still in inventory, we need to be able to find it. Does that make sense?
So it
Needs a tag. Needs a tag. As long as it's still in inventory. I'm going to backtrack on that. I don't know if it needs a tag. It does need to be relocated. If it's easier to tag it, to relocate it by using barcode, then tag it. And it probably is. So upper control arm, lower control arm, while it's a complete assembly laying out there on the ground, tag it, locate it. As soon as it begins to come apart, those go in the blue bin, rotor goes in the blue bin, we end up with a spindle, caliper, and a hub that go to the shelf. Sometimes there's a strut attached to this. Instead of an upper control arm, sometimes there's a strut. And then that would go to the shelf. And then that would go to the blue bin. Make sense? Any questions? Ubaldo? Got it? Okay. Was this training helpful?
Yes.
Good. That's the idea. I want it to be helpful. I want to make sure I'm training on things that we're dealing with right now. Remember, the whole idea for this training also is to make the on-ramp process quicker. I don't want a guy here 6 months and then he learns this. I want a guy to know this right away. That's the idea. Joe, do you have any questions about this? Does it all make sense?
Yep.
Okay. The other thing I'm going to cover right now, are we at 10 minutes, Joe?
12.
Okay, let's stop this video.